we're back on the Altezza today, and the biggest thing at the minute is we need to get it ready for MOT. In the UK, if you want to register an import car, it needs to have insurance, MOT, and you send off a cheque to pay for the tax, and they'll give you your license plate and registration. There's a couple of things this car needs for MOT. The biggest thing, I think I mentioned in the last video, is we don't have a rear fog light. Most Japanese market cars don't have rear fog lights, even though they've got front fog lights. I don't know, it's obviously just a difference in regulation, but here you have to have a rear fog light. Now, the IS200s came with a rear fog light, so I've got a couple of parts of them, and I'm going to see if I can retrofit something. So I picked up this, which is a rear fog switch of an IS200. And it looks like it's literally just meant to go in here. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense why there's double coin slots. So I assume I'll be able to pop one of these out and put this switch in instead. Just pull that out, pop that in. The only thing I don't know is how to wire it up. I read one random forum post where they said that the wiring, now I did get the wiring off the car, so when this was actually just sitting behind here and they plugged it in and it worked. I've also seen other people saying they had to completely wire it in from scratch, so I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to have to sort of investigate and find out. So first things first, I'm going to see if I can pull this lower, like this whole lower panel off, just this whole jobby here, and see what the wiring's like behind it. Is it the same? Is this? Looks the same. Is this all you have to do? Let's see. Let's start her up here. Because if that's it, I'll be very happy. Oh, I gotta press clutch it. Okay, turn on the lights. We've got lights. And I'm gonna leave the camera back here. I think that's worked. So, oh, hang on. I see another plug. Okay. Is there something else I need to unplug or change? So at the back of the car, and these are the two lights that will become the fog lights. And I've done a bit of investigation here. So if I pull out the brake light bulb here, and it actually looks like it needs changed very soon. And notice we've only got 3 pins in there. So the one on the bottom right here is the ground, so right there. The one across from it is the low beam, well, or whatever you call it, the dimmed filament, and then the bright filament is here. But if we look at the other end of this wire, you'll see we've got 4. So this one here is the ground, this one's the dipped, and this one's the bright currently. But if I basically turn the lights on and check in the car. That's grand. Whenever you flick the lights on, this one gets power. And then if you hit the brakes, this one gets power. Now that I've fitted that fog light switch that just plugged straight in, if I click the fog light button, this one gets power. So essentially, if I depin this and move the bright beam one from this bottom right to the top, sorry, bottom left to the top right, the bright beam should come on with the fog light instead of with the brakes. And then once the MOT's over, I can just switch it back. And that way we can sort of be legal and then also have the Altezza ones. So I'm going to switch that over now for both bulbs. We should be all good to go. Changed over, got it plugged in now. So that's with the fog light on. I don't know if that worked. Yeah, so that seems to be working now. Got the rear fog lights in. You can see the tail lights are on, but they're a lot dimmer. And then if I go in, you can see that's fit right in there. And you can see the wee light comes on with it. If I turn that off, and then go back, they're still on, but they're the same brightness as the others, and they won't come on when you hit the brakes. So I might leave it like that, but for now, that's pretty good. Yeah, and I've got the tail light fixed. So the only other thing I need to sort are these. Well, for MOT anyway, because you can see how much hazing and all is on that, and that might fail. So, back on the Altezza, and the MOT continues. So, went and got one, and passed on everything. CO2 idle percentage, 0. Don't know how that's possible, but there you go. Brake efficiency, fine. Headlamp aim, fine. Everything, fine. Except speedo. Speedo does not read in kilometers an hour and miles an hour. If you look up on the gov.uk website, it says the speedo must be working and mentions no units. And if you go on various Japanese import websites, it doesn't mention it. It specifically says you don't have to convert the speedo. It can be nice to convert the speedo, but you don't have to. So I said to the examiner, like, look, I've checked all this online and say, don't have to. No, you have to have the speedo in both. So I emailed the Northern Irish testing agency, DVA, and they're very nice, like, and all, but they said the Northern Irish tester's manual states it has to read in both miles an hour and kilometers an hour. It has to be both. So if you live in Scotland, England, Wales, don't worry about it. You live in Northern Ireland, you have to have both. Now, part of what I love about this Altezza is it's got the facelift Altezza manual gauges with the rev counter in the middle and the gauges on the edge, and and the speedo on the edge. And basically what that means is there's no easy way to swap from kilometers to miles an hour. If I could find some way to maybe convert the digital speedo, because it's got the digital readout and the analog one, maybe I can make it work. The brainwave I had was to order this, but that is a digital speedo. My initial thought was buy like a Defi speedo, or maybe like a stack speedo, something like that, and wire it into the speed signal. But then I thought, why don't I just go GPS? And so this runs off GPS, It's got a wee plug in the back. You plug it into the cigarette lighter on USB. It reads miles an hour, probably more accurately than my gauge cluster does. Yeah, it probably won't work in tunnels. I can live with that because I've still got the original Speedo. I don't know if the MOT tester is gonna accept that. I feel like they're gonna argue that I can just take this off, that it's not a permanent part of the car. You know, in the same way like a sat nav's not a permanent part of the car. So I was trying to think, how can I make it look more official? Because I don't want to have to go back again and again and again for tests if they argue with me that this isn't good enough. So I was like, I need to make this look right. Also, the idea is, like, this is ugly as fuck. But the idea is, as soon as the MOT's over, rip it out of the car. It's literally plugged in into the cigarette lighter. Just unplug it. And walk away. That's my idea. And then just every year when it comes time to MOT, stick it back in the car. Stick it back out. Stick it back in the car. And just do that every year. That doesn't bother me at all. And it means I can keep the car original. So I was thinking I could either stick it like there with some double-sided sticky tape, or maybe there with some double-sided sticky tape. Now this flips up, so I have to be careful of that and mindful of it. I also wondered if the suction cup could stick to this. Oh, and it can, so it's like, you know, I could stick it like that there and just hope it don't look at it too hard. It's getting a bit dark here, but I've got the Speedo in, and it's got a wee compass, a trip meter, and then the Speedo here, and this bar fills up as you go along, and it's got digital readout, miles an hour. So I'm going to take it for a quick spin around the block just to make sure it's all working okay. Oh yeah, it seems to be working. Yeah, no, that's working perfectly. It's got the time that's wrong and the trip and all. But like, as far as what I need it to do, that's perfect. So, fingers crossed for the MOT tomorrow that we get through. The Altezza managed to get through its MOT, and now it's all road legal. You can see, got the plates and all for it. We've now moved into a shed, but that'll come soon. Yeah, with the GPS Speedo, the guy at the MOT centre gave me a bit of hassle on it, but it wasn't too bad at all. I managed to sort of convince him. I think he went and asked about it, and I think it's one of those things, there's technically no rule that we're not allowed to have GPS. I know some guys on like vintage bikes and that sort of stuff do a similar sort of thing, so they kind of had to let it go, but they weren't too happy about it. So maybe in future it needs to have something a bit better, but it got us in for the first year. So there'll be more videos on this, making it look lovely and clean, and we'll take it for a quick drive and show you. So that'll be coming up very soon. But yeah, I think for that it'll be good. Got it through its MOT. If you have any questions about what we had to do, just let me know. But the gist of it is, sort the fog lights out so you can hit up the button and sort the Speedo out if you're in Northern Ireland. If you're in England, just sort the fog lights out and you're good to go.